Hello and welcome to the Trail and Adventure Motorbike Podcast with me, Clive Barber, and my good mate, Noel Tom. For the days when you can't ride your bike, there's always the Trail and Adventure Motorbike Podcast. Noel is still on holiday. Well, at least he was when we actually recorded this. He's back now. I'm editing it several weeks later. So instead of Noel, we've got Marc Deri from the Lightweight Adventurers. And in this episode, we're talking to Magnus Goransson about his Iron Butt adventure, which he did earlier this year. So this is part 2. We recorded one a few months ago when we talked about his preparation. Apologies for the slightly sporadic episodes recently. My real job is conspiring against me, but hopefully things are going to be calming down a little bit over the next few weeks. We've got plenty of episodes coming up, really great people. I've even got a couple already recorded. I just haven't had time to edit yet. So stick with us. We'll be back to full strength any minute now. So yeah, Noel's on his way back now, but he's been in France for a month on holiday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just riding around France with his girlfriend, lady partner, wife, as he calls her.
Sounds nice.
Is he actually back in UK now, is he?
I think so. He was at the fair. He posted something at the ferry port yesterday. So I guess he's either home or on his way home. I mean, it's a good ride from Dover up to here. It's 350 miles or something stupid like that. So he might not be back yet. But so Magnus, Marc.
Hey, Magnus,
Hi.
Good to meet you.
You too.
Yeah, Magnus, one of our amazing listeners who had a story to tell back in...
I think it was in May, maybe.
Because I think you were doing your first attempt in May, weren't you? And you postponed it to June, and we'll tell that story in a minute. But yeah, so Magnus came through, I'm going to do this thing. I said, yeah, great, let's talk about it. And it kind of fit. We were doing some other stuff with Scandinavian people too at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
We never actually finished that. We did a Norway edition and we did a Swedish edition, but we didn't do Denmark and Finland, so we may come back to that at some point. And also penciled in to join the podcast tonight was, do you know Thomas Hansen?
Don't know him personally, but I follow him now. Follow him on Instagram and so on. Yeah,
he was penciled in to come and do this before Marc was. Marc was my second choice, but
yeah, the bridesmaid, you know.
But only because Marc's done it before, and I was kind of taking it in turns. Really, it was Jamie actually was going to be my first choice because they made me feel so bad about asking Marc and not Jamie before.
When you say they made you feel bad, don't
sorry,
include me in
yeah,
that.
Jamie made me feel bad. I don't think he gives a shit really. Thomas said yes, and then he found out he was looking after his kid on his own tonight, so he pulled out. But we could have done a Swedish version. I think he speaks Swedish as well. Or is there like a Viking language that you all talk?
Yeah, but nobody knows it.
Have you got a drinking horn down there or something, Magnus? Are you just going to start slamming the tables? And
Exactly.
amazing beards and...
We talk with that kind of like body language. We slam big horns on the table. That's the way we communicate.
Sounds incredible.
To be honest, like Norwegian and Swedish are pretty close. Except if you go really far north in Norway, it's kind of hard to understand what they say. But like Oslo, like the capital, the Norwegian they speak in the capital of Norway is easy for me to understand. So yeah,
it's amazing. I didn't realise that.
Pretty close. Like Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian are pretty close. Finnish is like a whole nother ball game. It's can't understand nothing basically.
Whereabouts are you exactly? Where are we speaking from and to?
I'm in the third biggest city in Sweden called Malmö.
Okay.
It's down south, pretty close to Copenhagen, actually. We have a bridge between Malmö and Copenhagen. It's just a 20-minute train ride.
Okay.
So basically, we can ride from... You could ride all year round, except like November, December, and January, February are pretty dark and cold. But basically, from March to October, you can ride here with no bigger issue. This summer was pretty hot. It was... Thanks to global warming, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a good thing, is it?
Exactly.
I'm really sorry this has taken so long to get my arse into gear to actually do this, because I know you actually did your first attempt in May and you've recorded something for us, haven't you? And I think it would be really good. I'll play that bit now and then we'll resume the podcast afterwards. So this was basically, well, you tell us what it was. You did your first attempt back in May, or did you change it to June?
We did a first attempt in May. I can't really remember the date.
27th.
Yeah, 27th, yeah, roughly. Somewhere around 27th.
It was 8 a.m.
Yeah, on the 27th of May. We were really stoked to do this. And then suddenly, when driving on the highway, I crashed with a duck, like a bird. So we decided pretty fast that we should postpone and do it another day. And the weather was pretty shitty as well. So that it was an easy choice to just say, fuck it, let's do it another time.
Hey, Magnus, tell me that the duck hit you in the head and that you should have ducked.
Is that an example of British humor?
No, there was no humor there.
You might say that, yeah.
Right, let's listen to the clip and we'll come back to you in a minute.
So I was asked by Clive to give a short update regarding the Iron Butt challenge me and my two friends were about to do in May. I want to tell you a little bit about what happened. Our date of departure was set to the 27th of May, but the weather in the last couple of weeks has gone from amazing to raining constantly for several days in a row here in Sweden. It was raining the days before, so we decided to do the ride one day earlier than planned. We met up at a nearby petrol station at 3 o'clock in the morning and did our first filling of petrol and then rode off. After about an hour, we drove on the motorway and it felt pretty good. While cruising along at motorway speed, me in the middle, Tobias up front on his 790 ADV and Zacharias behind on his 701. Things were about to go to the opposite of feeling good. I can see Tobias pass something on the motorway, and when I get closer, I see that across the motorway, two ducks are walking. I need to make a rapid decision. Either I brake, which is not ideal due to the wet tarmac and the speed I have, so I decide to go for it and hopefully miss one of the two ducks. When getting closer, I realize it will be some kind of collision, so I firmly hold on to my handlebars, and all I can feel is a big thump on my chest. At this moment, I've closed my eyes, and when I open them again, I can see that my windscreen is missing. Everything else in my cockpit seems fine. I speed towards Tobias, and we turn into the closest parking spot. When I get off the bike, I feel that I'm pretty shaky. Closer inspection of the bike and me, we're both okay. There and in this moment, we make the decision that we will cancel the attempt to do the Iron Butt for this time. To ride for such a long period of time without any proper windshield would be just painful and not fun at all. At this moment, we're just 100 kilometers from home, so to turn around is a pretty easy decision. So basically, a fucking duck, they managed to make us turn back home and to not be able to do our Iron Butt for this time. But to put it in perspective, this is my first roadkill on a motorcycle since 2004 when I got my license, and we are more than ready to give the Iron Butt another go. We have already set a new date, and it will be on the 21st of June. Hopefully, the weather will be a lot better. We had a vision in our minds of us going on a motorway early morning, seeing the sunrise, but instead we rode just in grey, dark rain weather. But until then, everyone who's listening, ride safe and look out for animals deciding to cross roads everywhere you ride. Thank you.
Let's wind back to you, so what kind of a duck was this? Was it what sort of ducks do you have out there?
I don't know what it's called in English, but it's the kind with the female is all gray and the male has like a green head.
Oh, like a mallard.
I don't know if it's called that, but yeah,
mallard.
Kind of
like it's got like magenta or purpley wing bits and
exactly.
Oh, it's a mallard. Yeah. Hey, that's a sizable duck, isn't it?
It is. I googled it. They can weigh about like up to.
That's the one.
Exactly. I don't know if I hit the male or the female though. I don't know. I couldn't really see.
Did you kill it?
Or did it flash green or did it flash brown?
I think I killed it.
I would have definitely fucking killed it afterwards, bastard.
Yeah. I didn't look back, if I say so. We drove on and took the nearest exit. Then we talked about it, and Zacharias, my friend who was riding behind me, he said that all he could see, he saw the bird lift off, and then he could see a big cloud of feathers. And then he thought, oh shit, is it falling off? No, I just kept on going for 100 more meters, then stopped, and then we talked about it.
And what sort of speed were you going?
I was maybe about it was motorway speeds, but maybe 100. And I got the feeling that when I saw them on the way, it's you know the feeling when you ride your bike and you see a bug coming towards you. You can see it, but you can't react to move your head. You see it coming, and then poof. It was the same feling, but with a duck instead.
That must have been quite an impact, because when an insect hits you in the face, you can feel it. So a duck crashing into your chest must have been quite hard.
The thing that saved me was that it did hit the windscreen first, like the fairing, and then bounced up. I think it bounced on my chest and then just along to the side of the road. But since 100 k's from home, bad weather, it was pretty easy to say, yes, let's not do it. And I think the other guys were pretty shaken as well, because if it actually hit me in the head, who knows what could have happened. Yeah.
So how did that conversation go then at the side of the road?
I remember when parking, the other guys didn't quite. Tobias was riding first, so he didn't quite understand what happened. So when we parked, I took off my helmet, and I said, and he asked me what happened, and I said it was a duck. And he went, what duck? Yeah, it was a duck. I drove into a duck, and then he told me, you look really pale. Maybe you just sit down for a minute and take your breath. And then it actually hit me that it was a duck, and it could have been a lot worse. And then we said, okay. It took me like 2 minutes to say, I'm not doing this. I want to go home, take it easy. Let's just get another date and do it in a better time. We actually stopped at on a gas station and talked maybe for like 1.5 hours before we went home, just to chill down and take a breath and just analyze it a little bit.
If you was in a car hitting a duck, it would just be say it was a nuisance. It might crack your windscreen, or it might. Yeah. But on a motorbike, if anybody's ever hit a bird or anything, any sort of like tiny bird on a bike, it's a right weight, isn't it, to hit your?
It is. Your
chest. Yeah, I've had a pigeon hit my shoulder, and it's a thing, let alone a duck.
I'm quite happy. There were like no guts, no feathers, no nothing on the bike. So I'm quite happy that I wasn't like covered in duck blood and stuff all over. I was pretty clean, so that was good.
It's probably worth reminding people what we're actually talking about here, because we're talking about your iron butt attempt.
Yeah.
Just to remind people, the iron butt, I'm going to do it in miles, is you have to ride 1,000 miles in 24 hours. Or if you're in Europe, and I wish we were, you'd have to ride 1,600 kilometers in 24 hours. So simple maths. You average 42 miles per hour over 24 hours, or 67 kilometers per hour over 24 hours. So it's not an insignificant undertaking. One of the things we talked about back in season 2 was that you spent a whole evening planning your route. Once you got back onto actually completing the iron, but did you actually stick to the plan? I think that the words you used were plan the ride the plan.
That's like the holy words of the Iron Butt Association. And we actually did. We stuck to it pretty exactly. And I think to be able to do it, you have to stick to the plan at 100%. Because if you don't, if you like do some small adjustments on the road, time will just disappear. Time is basically the only thing you have to care about. Because we did it in 22 hours and 35 minutes. So we only had like 1.5 hours to spare. And it feels pretty much. But when you stop, even if you like have actually trained to do like your gas filling, and you have to take the picture of the receipt and your odometer, 10 minutes is easily gone, easily. And if you start talking, maybe taking a snack or something, 20 minutes is in eye blink. You have to be really disciplined when you have your stops.
So why don't you educate me a little bit here, Magnus? Because I've heard of the iron butt. I'm well aware of what it is, but what I'm not aware of is there seems to be a wider organisation on top of this which monitors it and then awards you something, or
exactly, yeah.
What is that? What does that look like? Is that a website? Is that a commercially run thing? What?
I think it started in the US, of course. Everything big starts over there. So I think there are like in every country there's a subgroup, or what you can call it, and. In Sweden, we have like ironbutt.se, which is the Swedish address. And it's actually a small association in Sweden with like, it's pretty organized. It is.
And what do you get for having completed it?
I actually got a diploma, and I got a sticker and a patch to put on your jacket.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And the best thing, on the website, actually, I'm in the Hall of Fame. Like they can say, on a specific date, Magnus rode his Africa Twin for blah blah blah. And I actually got a members number in the International Iron Butt Association. I think it's 8223 or something. I can't remember it exactly, but you become a lifetime member of this association.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, I like that. Okay.
But there's no monetary reward or anything like that. It's purely just down to recognizing an achievement.
Yeah, it just costs money, to be honest.
Yeah.
Coming back to the plan, you obviously had to work out a route beforehand. What type of roads were on the route? Was it mainly highway, motorway, whatever you call them in Sweden, or were you sort of A and B roads? How did that work?
We had the plan that in the beginning, the first 2 hours we drove highway just to like get the feeling of going somewhere, so you actually like get some progress. And after that, we changed to a little bit smaller roads. Like the speed limits in Sweden are 50, 70, 90, and 110 in kilometers an hour. Highway is 110. So we started with 110 kilometers roads, and then we went to basically 70 and 90 just to keep the flow going. But the 70 and 90 kilometer an hour roads in Sweden are a little bit more fun to ride. They can be a little bit curvy, some goes like through small villages, so you actually can see something and just push on the highway. But the last 3 hours were highway just to get home. In a perspective, those 3 last hours were the most terrible hours I've ever had on a motorcycle. They were actually, it was not fun at all.
So I'm just sat here thinking, after 20 odd hours of riding, you did 3 hours on a motorway.
Yeah.
And all that's going through my mind is, that sounds really dangerous and it shouldn't be condoned.
That's the thing that the Iron Butt Association really puts. The thing is, when you make your routes, we did it in Google Maps, you get an estimate of how long it should be, of a long time it should be ridden. And they actually check that if you do some parts too fast, but because when you send in your log, you have to take your time when you fill up petrol. You have to photograph your odometer, and they can actually calculate if you were going too fast. So if you're going too fast, they can basically say, no, you're not qualified. So it's all about safety. It is.
But I was just thinking you'd be really tired at that point, and then you're sitting at 110 on a dual carriageway, a double road.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound great.
But Red Bull and coffee, keeps you going. It does. Like
other energy drinks might be available. I've no idea.
Yeah, but when we the last 3 hours, I think I downed like 2 Red Bulls and a big coffee, so just to keep on going. And then you have to. The thing that saved us in the last 3 hours where there was they rebuilt some parts of the road, so you had to slow down and was actually standing still for some time, and that keeps your mind. You have to concentrate. You have to drive slow, stop, start, and I think that saved us, to be honest. The last 3 hours weren't that safe, to be honest, but we did it, and that's the main purpose.
Presumably, within those tight timescales, there's no time for you to take 20 minutes rest or a nap. You just have to keep riding the whole 24 hours.
Yeah, also we did like this. We had a schedule, and we said ride for 1 hour, 10-minute break, like fill gas, have a light snack, and then we had some parts when we rode for 2 hours, and after those 2 hours we had 20 minutes break. One of the guys made a detailed schedule on the minutes, so we could actually see, are we behind or are we like time on our side. So at some parts we were actually ahead of schedule, so we can take 5 more minutes here, and that was really helpful to have those extra minutes just to take a small rest. One thing we did that I read on a forum was that when you have a break, you don't sit down, you stand up when you have your break, and I think that saved us as well, because you sit down so much. So if you're eating, if you're talking, if you're doing anything, stand up, and that was a good thing, because if you sit down you get tired, but if you stand up, you still have to. And just running around like on a parking space, doing some jumping jacks or whatever, just to get the blood flowing. It helps.
One of the things you mentioned was that you did quite a big ride in preparation for this, and you said after a certain number of miles you kind of get into a zone and you actually start to feel really good. Did that happen on the actual event?
It did, and I must say, if I didn't have my cardio and be able to listen to music and podcasts, it would.
Any particular podcasts you listen to?
I didn't actually listen to the Trail and Adventure Motorbike podcast, but
why'd you look at your notes then, Magnus?
But I listen to a lot of British music. I used to be like a Britpop fan back in the 90s, so a lot of Oasis, Stone Roses, and so kept me going. It did.
I guess I was going to ask about the mentality of it as well, because you've been on a bike for so long. I guess I'm interested in two parts. Firstly, once you completed the challenge, did it kind of cement your place mentally as an endurance biker, or as a more of a biker than you were beforehand, or did it change your mentality towards motorcycling in any way?
I think it changed my mentality. So actually this weekend I was out riding with some friends, and we had to go 1.5 hours, and it felt like nothing. But my friends said, "Oh my God, I have to take a break," and it felt like, no, it's nothing. And then they put it in perspective and said, "I can't believe you were on your bike for 22 hours and 33 minutes."
Yeah.
And when you put it in perspective, it's pretty crazy. I think mentally, I have never done like a marathon or something like that. So to be able to do this was kind of a big thing for me, to actually do it and I felt pretty proud afterwards.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're part of a club, aren't you?
Yeah.
Everybody's
in
done
some
it.
way. But the first thing that almost everyone says when I tell them that I have done an Ironman is, "That's just stupid. You're such an idiot. Why?" I read somewhere, like the guy who climbed Mount Everest the first time, he got the question, "Why do you climb Mount Everest?" Because it's there. So I think, why do people run marathons and Ironmans and stuff? Because they can, and it gives some kind of, gratifying feeling, I guess.
Well, if I can jump it, so I've run one marathon in my life, and I don't like running, but I run it so at the end of it I could hold the medal and say, when people are talking about it, I've run a marathon. Yeah. Oh, did you run that marathon? Yeah, I ran the marathon. So does this ever come up in conversation, when somebody says, "Oh, I've got to ride 6 hours to get to, France," wherever it might be 6 hours from you guys. You're like, 6 hours. When I rode the Iron Butt, is that a conversation ever, or along those lines? The bragging rights?
Maybe, and maybe a bit. I sometimes use it when talking about, should we go on a weekend ride? Yeah, we could. Well, it's like 3 hours ride to get to the good parts of gravel, and I say, it's nothing. Just do it.
Did you or any of the guys have any dark moments and thoughts of giving up, going home again?
I think like the last 3 hours were the worst. I think it was. I don't know why, but I started to, when it was so close to the finish, I started to think about what if my bike breaks down? What if there's some problem? It worked flawlessly. And I have to point this out. Tobias, one of the guys riding the KTM 790, he wanted me to specifically say that the KTM worked flawless. No issues whatsoever.
Because he'd never had time to put the side stand down.
Maybe.
What about the Husqvarna? Was that okay as well?
The Husqvarna worked flawlessly as well. It's a KTM.
Which Husky did you take? Sorry.
701.
Oh, it was a 701. Yeah.
But he has like a rally fairing to take most of the air away.
And did you have option of any other bike before you went, or was it always going to be the AT?
Always the AT. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an XR 650R, and do it on that one would be just suicide. It could not be done.
Did you get any additional comfort seating arranged, or?
No, I actually didn't. I know we talked about the last time about the people putting sheepskin and thing on the saddle. I actually did not. Since the duck took away my fairing, I bought a small, a slightly taller one. And I got from Amazon, the small deflectors you put on top. That was pretty amazing because I had when I just put my head down a little bit, I had absolutely no turbulence whatsoever. So that helped a lot.
They're such a comfortable bike to ride, aren't they? I'm a massive fan of a little bike, of a light bike, but I've got to admit, an AT really appeals to me, I can really see the appeal when you're doing something like that.
It's like a bus, basically. It is.
Yeah.
You just sit there. Talking about the seating comfort, actually coming home after the ride, the butt weren't the baddest part pain-wise. Neck and shoulders were killing me, and my hands were also killing me. I remember the day after, I was about to lock my door, and I couldn't grip the key with my thumb. It was all,
wow.
I have no my fingertips were like not itching, you know, like that.
Tingling.
Yeah, tingling. Yeah, that tingling
Pins
feeling.
and needles, yeah.
Yeah. A friend of mine who is a doctor, I talked to him and he said if it doesn't get better, there's a small risk that maybe some nerve has been damaged in some way. So I just took a few days and then like the tingling disappeared. But it's neck and shoulders and fingers were absolutely the worst. Talking about like comfort, I had 2 pair of gloves with me. I started riding with, we rode off in the middle of the night, so it was pretty cold. I started riding with, you know, big bulky winter gloves, Gore-Tex style. They're ugly, but I think that there's. Oh, this is a question I have to ask you, English guys. You know the brand Clive. Do you say Clive?
Most people used to say Klim, but it is. We know it is Climb.
Yeah, we say Klim in Sweden, and we actually had like a standing joke about how do you pronounce it. The same with the Italian brand. You know, Acerbis.
I'm still not sure on that one.
I still go Acerbis.
Acerbis, yeah, and I have heard some guys saying Acerbis, and I don't. Yeah. But anyway, so those gloves were comfortable, great for like the first one. But when you have gloves on for such a long period of time, you actually start to feel every little seam, every little like bump in the. You feel everything. So then I changed. I just bought the Adventure Spec Dirt glove, like really thin gloves. They were awesome for a while. But then after a while, you can feel like stitching getting there. So I changed to the Clive gloves and I changed it back and forth just to kind of.
You know what's dawning on me, just having you're speaking just about a few things here, is a 24-hour ride might just seem an over the weekend thing. You know, you could set off at midnight or whatever time. It's literally 24 hours. It seems like a relatively short flash of bang. But the reality of it is you're preparing for maybe a week or 2 weeks beforehand, unless you've done any preparatory rides as well. You do the ride over the weekend, and then it sounds to me like you suffered maybe for a week or 2 weeks or longer afterwards. So it's maybe already a 3 or 4 week process just to do the ride alone. Is that a fair assessment? It's not a flash and bang thing.
No, it's not. You have to. I think the biggest part is mentally, to actually prepare, to think about it, and to kind of brace yourself that this is going to be tough. And I read all like forum posts I've read about Darren, but everybody said it's not like walking in the park. It's hard, and prepare for it to be really hard. And I think with that mindset, it made it quite easier. And you know, there's people who has done it on like 125cc motorcycles, and I think if they can do it, I can do it. I had that mindset all the time. If it's not, people have done it, I can do it as well. So, and
the fact is, you're doing it for fun and you're paying for that privilege. You know, and that's got to resonate as well, hasn't it? Nobody's forcing you to do it.
Exactly.
So that changes your mindset as well.
If you can go like to the preparation part, because we thought thoroughly about just like what kind of underwear do you use, what kind of socks do you use, like base layer and stuff. I actually went through all my underwear to find like the smoothest ones with no seams that could like stitch into the butt or whatever. And the same with socks. You know, I had like pretty big socks, but really soft ones. Since you have them on for so long, it has to be like perfect. I have like Alpine Stars and Enduro pants with a kind of baggy. I took away like the knee protection in those because I felt when I did some tries with those pants that they actually nagged into a knee on one point. So I took those away. All jackets and stuff, I just felt nothing that if something starts to irritate you like the first hour, it will irritate you every hour after that. So every small thing that could irritate you was taken away. I actually did a ride without like no knee protection. But
what did you do for food? Because you were talking about protein bars rather than stodgy food that would make you tired.
We all did egg sandwiches. That basically is. Egg are good for you. It's like it keeps your stomach full. Snickers, gummy bears, all kind of small stuff to chew on. And then we stopped to have like a sausage at a gas stop or whatever. But basically egg sandwiches.
But I'm curious about how much it costs, just in the rough order, because it sounds expensive. And
yeah, so money-wise, this is quite interesting because my AT has like dual carburetors, no fuel injection. The 701 and the KTM has that. And when we compare like the miles per gallon per mile, so what do you call it? Yeah, the mileage of how much fuel. okay, this will be in like the metric system. So the KTM and Husky, like 0.45 liters per 100 kilometers. And my AT was 0.65. So almost 2 deciliters more than their bikes. So I think I ended up paying, the gas is so expensive in Sweden right now as well, but I think I paid like 250 euros for the gas.
Okay, not awful then.
No, food was, not much. To become a member of the club, you have to pay like a fee. It was 45 euros. So totally around 300 euros maybe.
Oh, okay, it's not a bad price.
The other guys actually paid less since their bikes didn't take so much fuel. I actually thought that I'll get a better mileage, but no, I did not.
What was the temperature then for the ride?
Pretty cool in the morning. I think maybe around 13, 14 Celsius. Midday around 18, 20. It's pretty beginning of June, so pretty good day, 18, 20. And then it drops, of course, around maybe 12, 13 on the evening and late night.
It's not crazy cold though. So the three of you then, you're obviously quite good friends. You know each other for quite a long time. There's no disagreements or arguments, and certainly when you're tired, things can be exaggerated. You all got on okay?
We did. I think that's a thing that you have to have in mind, because if you do this, you have to do it with people you can trust. Because we had the deal that if someone of us doesn't want to do it, we all jump out, and no bad feelings about that. I think that mindset helped us through. When you ride with people, you get familiar to like the riding style. Sometimes I don't even had to use my like turn signals I just waved my head and they understood, okay, he's moving lane or whatever. So do it with someone you all just ridden like a small bit with would not be preferable. You have to do it with somebody who you trust. I've done it a lot. I think maybe in the late hours, because I remember like it was pretty dark clouds. So I said I wanted to get on my raining suit, and I could feel like a small irritation from the guys when I put on my rain gear. It took forever, and they go, come on, we have to like, the only time when I actually felt like, okay, I'm slowing the other guys down. But apart from that, no, just laughs and like pepping words to each other. It was.
Were you all on comms in your headsets in your helmet?
Yeah, this is quite funny because me and Tobias had like the cardio thing, and Zacharias, he bought a cardio for this ride, so we were able to talk to each other. But we started riding and we said, yeah, let's not talk for like the first 2 hours, because it's nice news to get into the zone and so. And we ended up not talking to each other at all for the whole ride. So he bought like the cardio to talk to us, but we didn't talk at all.
That's amazing. That's quite odd, isn't it?
You get into yourself, your inner, it sounds like some kind of yoga or whatever, but you get into your mind in a special way. And listening to music, listening to podcasts, it was nice to, when you stop, you had something to talk about, and sometimes I like the quietness. I actually I turned off my music for some while just to have like the noise, and then put on music. It was kind of like a treat. Okay, the intercom has been silent, no music for 30 minutes. Now you can enjoy music, and that's a pretty. You have to give yourself those small treats all the time to bear with it.
And some people, that's what they love motorcycling for. Yeah, I teach mindfulness as part of my work. Mental health and mindfulness, and a lot of people who come through my class would say, motorcycling is a form of mindfulness. We can just concentrate on what's in your mind and nothing else, as long as you're watching the road, obviously. So I can really identify with that, and the music is just another distraction. You think it puts you into a different world, but it doesn't. So no, I totally get that.
Absolutely. I say that to a lot of people as well. It's like that. It's like a form of meditation, because you have to concentrate so hard on what you're doing so you don't crash.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything else goes from your mind, and I think that's one of the main benefits of motorcycling, I think.
Yeah, you really have to be in the zone, and that's why I love motorcycling. I think to live like the ordinary day life and just be in the moment.
So, the following question is if you didn't speak with your two friends, therefore they probably weren't there for the majority of the ride in sort of surreal terms, would you do it on your own? Would you have done it on your own?
No, not at all, because I think you need someone to actually like push on, because at some points me and Tobias wanted to stay a little longer, have a little longer break. Then Zacharias said, oh no, we have to push on because the time is ticking and so on. You have to have someone who, it's so easy when you ride on yourself. Oh, there's a nice place. I can just stay and take a photo and whatever. And then suddenly time just keeps on going. So to do it on your own, not for me. Also like a safety thing. If something happens, it's nice to be 2 more guys that could help you or whatever.
A slight aside on the headset things. They're a pain in the arse to link, aren't they? 4 of us were out the other weekend with the new mesh technology on and fairly new headsets, and it works brilliantly, and it's so easy to link. You can link them on an app on your phone, and that's it. Once it's done, it's done. You just chat away for the day. Really, really good. So if you are thinking of buying a headset or getting a new one, get a mesh one. Brilliant.
Yeah, I don't, I don't have a mesh one. Tobias and Zacharias has, and I don't. So I go with the Bluetooth thing. And to connect those 3 together was, I recognize what you're saying. It pain in the ass.
And then you didn't bloody use it.
No, exactly. Yeah.
The Iron Butt thing has a range of different events or awards you can get. Would you do it again? Would you go for another one, a different one, different country?
No, I don't think so. It's the other ones are harder, and I think this was hard enough. No, I don't have like I have one Iron Butt, and that's good for me. I don't need another one.
Does it appeal to you, Mark?
I was just looking at that mesh. I'd never heard of it. Yeah, it does. Because. So Jamie and I have ridden our 250s all the way up to Skye and back, but we did it over 48 hours, and that was 1,400 miles with the around and about. So we obviously had a sleep in between, but I reckon we've got the mentality to do it. So I do see the appeal. Yeah, I really do. And I'd do it on my little 250 on my dirt bike, on my trail bike. I would, because I like the added challenge of it.
It doesn't appeal to me at all, but that might be because of age and just general what the fuckery.
I absolutely love a challenge, and that's why I can see the appeal that you saw in it. I love something that it's there, so I shall, therefore I have, and have a sticker on the bike to somebody go, oh, what's this? Oh, well, strap in. I've got a story here, mate.
There's probably like ice cream eating things you could do instead, or, man versus food challenges, or so you could sleep the longest, stay in bed for the longest time.
And you know what? I probably wouldn't do any preparation either. It's stupid. You don't know him, but my friend Jamie, we've done all sorts of walking and running events, challenges, and we've just gone, well, should we sign up for it? And then we've had all the best intentions of preparing, and then we don't. We've done the Special Forces selection marches, and we've done marathon runs, and we've done 24-hour runs, and we've just gone, so let's just turn up and see what happens. And invariably, it always works out, So I think one day we'll probably just get on our bikes and have a go.
I think that the 3 of us are we have a slight small OCD thing going on, because we really enjoy the planning part. I think the planning part was 70% of the fun, just to actually plan and think and do like lists and okay, what you're gonna wear, what you're gonna bring, and so ever. That was a big part of the fun for me as well. And just like I actually did some before we rode off. I trained to fill up gas the quickest. I like those to be mentally and prepared in every kind of way. And I noticed that even if you're fast, it takes at least 10 minutes to fill up your tank, because you have to get off the bike, you have to put in the card, and so on. And the added thing with Iron Butt is that you have to have a paper receipt to prove that you were at the point where you actually filled up your gas tank. And that receipt has to be photographed with your odometer, and it has to be clearly to see where it was, how many liters, how much it cost. And that's a thing that you have to train, because at one tank stop, we actually almost forgot to do that. And if we had forgotten that one, maybe we couldn't get the certification.
That would be a bummer, wouldn't it? Oh, sorry, mate, we've run out of till receipt paper.
Yeah, actually happened when we started. The first receipt is like the starting receipt, and we did that at a pretty big gas station here in Malmö. The receipt printer didn't work, so we had to go into the store and get the manual one. And we had to have like one individual, and the woman in the cashier, she didn't quite understand why we were 3 three people, and it was we had to have our specific. So we had to like do a short, we're doing this thing, it's Iron Butt, and we need the receipt. Can you help us? And I think at that moment we felt like minutes were just ticking. We have to be rolling.
But I mean, you could have just sat for a longer period on the motorway at that point, couldn't you?
Yeah, we could, but we had our route. We had planned the ride and we were sticking to it. So it's hard to you cannot, when you ride it, like change the route on the go. You have to stick to the plan.
Is that one of the requirements? Is it?
No, it's not. But since we timed it, we had like the estimate time on Google Maps, and we thought that and everything takes longer than you think. So we needed really to stick to the route.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'd be easier in the UK to do it because the motorway network, as long as there's no roadworks or crashes, I don't know if it'd be easier or more difficult.
Clive, I saw your route going round in a circle.
Yeah.
But here in the UK, we've got a spinal motorway, the M1 and the M6. So you could literally go north, see what time you've got, go south, see what time you've got, come north, And it would be quite simple to do that, I think. Yeah,
because you've got the service stations on the motorway. But how boring and horrible would it be, though? There'd be no fun, would it? The whole thing is to enjoy the challenge, and that's a challenge that would just be miserable.
But isn't that the challenge? Just to I'm gonna smash this out. I see that almost as another part of the challenge. You've got me excited. I might look at this.
Yeah, just do it on the motorways. I think this your brain needs to have something else to look at than just a motorway. That's why we chose to not go all motorway. And when we planned the route, we actually thought of not going close to any bigger cities, and we tried to time it so we weren't in the rush hour at some moments, just to avoid queues and stuff. That's also part of the preparation. Don't go too close, like to Stockholm, like the main capital. It would be a horrendous thing to get in there because you would lose so much time.
You had me saying no at egg sandwiches.
I love an egg sandwich. Everything it points to. This is my fate.
You should do it. You should really do it. Just one thing I would like to add, talking about just when I read somewhere where when people have trained for something their whole life, like winning Olympic gold or whatever, when they actually win it, they get a feeling of emptiness, and it's kind of depressing, actually. I wouldn't compare riding an Iron Butt to winning an Olympic gold, but I remember when we came back to the starting point and finished it all, we all were like we did it. So good. What's next? Yeah, that kind of feeling. And it felt kind of odd, being preparing for something so long, doing it, coming home and feeling, okay, that's it. Quite odd feeling.
And a natural question, whether it's in the podcast or not, I don't know, but what's next?
I'm two little girls. I work full time. I would like to go to Scotland and ride there. I would like to ride like the North Coast 500 just for fun. No challenges or whatever. Just enjoy. I don't have any motorbike challenge ahead of me. I just want to enjoy it now.
July next year, come over to the UK and ride the NC 500. Come and stay in the Lake District, and then we'll go down to the Lightweight Adventurous Festival, which is Mark and James Festival, which is really good fun.
I've heard it's incredible, Magnus.
Yeah. Sounds like good fun. I have to do it on the AT though, but that's maybe not so lightweight, but still.
That's all right. We're not prejudiced.
We're judgmental,
yeah,
but
very
not prejudiced.
judgmental, obviously. Yeah, but...
it is a Honda though, so I think it's allowed.
Got a couple of questions for you. Logistical questions, just whilst I've got somebody from Scandinavia on the call, actually.
Yeah.
So Jamie and I intend to ride all the way up to Nordkapp next year.
Yeah.
Probably head over to Norway, but dip into Sweden in parts. But we're looking at timers. Have you ever been that far north?
I haven't.
I find it really hard to get a definitive when the weather is at its better option. I'm hearing June, July is probably okay, but you could maybe go, April, May. It might be. I'm just really getting mixed feelings.
Yeah, April, May would. It's still cold up there. I think June, July would be better. The thing is, when it's warm outside up north, the mosquitoes are.
That's what I'm hearing, yeah.
Yeah, that's not good at all.
I'll put you in touch with Thomas, who lives in Norway. In fact, if you haven't listened to his podcast, you should listen to it, because he basically says, don't go to fucking Nordkapp. Go and do the Lofoten Islands, and there's much better places to go. But you want to do the challenge, don't you?
Part of it's the challenge, yeah, exactly that, It's like 2,500 miles from here.
And I think if you do like Nordkap is like something you want to do, but I think just as you say, Clive, like Lofoten and the things up there are much nicer, like Narvik and
Lofoten. Sorry, I said Lofoten.
Yeah.
Lofoten. Nice.
Lofoten in Sweden.
Lofoten.
But if you're gonna ride up to Nordkap and you come to Sweden, just give me a call. You can I can maybe arrange somewhere you can sleep. We have a community garage if you want to fix something.
Oh,
or
you
whatever.
could go to bike night. That'd be amazing. Every Wednesday.
Yeah.
I heard
Every
about
Wednesday.
this.
Yeah. So if you want to come, just
Oh, that's incredible.
I think I follow you guys on Instagram, so I write you a personal message there sometimes.
Wicked. Thank you. Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Superb.
That's a beautiful.
Thank you both so much, Magnus. It's great telling of the story. Mark, I really appreciate your help. Great questions.
You've inspired me, Magnus. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Speak soon.
Take care.
Cheers, mate.
Have a good
Likewise.
night.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Hey, listen, if you've enjoyed this episode, maybe consider becoming a Patreon for the podcast. Your support would be massively appreciated. Or if not, go to buy me a coffee. It's actually probably enough for a pint, actually, so you got to buy me a pint. All right, nice one. See you next week. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate your support. Don't forget you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you really appreciate what we do, you could consider supporting us on Patreon or buy us a coffee. Links are available on our website, which is tampodcast.com, tampodcast.com, where we also have a limited selection of branded stuff. But either way, please keep listening and spreading the word. See you next time.